Back in the year 2006, Matthew Podolak walked into the ER complaining about severe back pain. The doctors believed he might have kidney stones, but Matthew wasn't responding to treatment, and he passed away the next day. An autopsy was done on his body, and it was determined that Matthew died from antifreeze poisoning. His family immediately pointed their fingers at his fiancée, Holly McFeeture. They told police that their relationship was toxic, and Matthew wanted to leave her, but he was afraid of losing his children. It would take quite some time before the authorities decided they had enough evidence to file a circumstantial case against her. This meant that they had no physical evidence proving she did it. However, there was enough information to show that she had the most to gain from his death.
All right, Holly, we're investigating the death of Matthew Podolak. The coroner's office has ruled it a homicide.
Correct.
The county prosecutor has made a decision to send the case to the grand jury against you.
That's fine. I mean, I don't have anything to hide. I didn't do anything, so.
Okay.
I mean, if I don't feel comfortable answering a question, I can just say.
You say I decline to answer, or?
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Okay. Did you and Matthew have any fights, physical? Did you call the cops? So you remember calling the police one time?
Yeah, I don't remember calling twice. There was a time where he punched me in the chest when I was pregnant with Joshua. I don't remember if I made a police report at that point or time not. Yes.
So one time you called the police. Was there other times that you got into fights and you didn't call the police? Or?
Well, I mean, we're not perfect. I mean, we got in disputes.
No.
I mean, we got in disputes, yeah. I mean, nothing worth calling the cops over.
So how many times, you had mentioned earlier, Matthew had caught you at the house with a particular guy he didn't like?
It was a friend of mine.
He didn't like the guy?
It was because he assumed something was going on when that wasn't the case. I had a friend over, we were talking, and he came home and he didn't like it. He got jealous because I had a friend over.
So did Matthew ever have any kind of enemies?
At work, he would use the N-word all the time when he was referring to people. He worked with a lot of black men
at his job?
Yes, in the factory.
Okay, so he has a lot of black guys at his job.
Yes, and he didn't get along with a lot of them.
Okay. Any particular reason?
I don't know. He would just say that, no, because Matt was a supervisor, and if he would go up to him and tell them, listen, you're not doing something properly, they would get in a fight. That's the only thing I mean, he would come home and vent. That's the kind of stuff I would hear. Other than that, I got nothing.
The detectives asked Holly to recall the events leading up to Matthew's death.
He went to the doctor one time, and that was at the end, because I begged him to go, because he was sick.
He got sick? How did he get sick?
That was the problem, we didn't know. He was sick for like 3 weeks, and he was having problems.
From what to what? What month?
It happened in July. Everything happened in July.
You went to the doctor before he died? You went to the doctor?
On Thursday. And because he was having issues going to the bathroom. He was having lower back problems, and we all told him, because Sharon was begging him, he was having issues going to the bathroom. And he refused to go to the doctor for weeks. He was complaining that he was in pain, his lower back, it was just getting worse. And finally, I was like, that's it. And his friend Russell gave him the name of this doctor to go to, and I took him. We finally went to the doctor, and the doctor did, he talked to him and explained to him the situation. He said, I want to get CAT scans. So we went downstairs and we got CAT scans to see his kidneys, see if he had kidney stones, because the doctor said that based on his symptoms that it was kidney stones. And then when we got the test results, they saw little pictures of kidney stones, and he gave him these little packets of pills that were supposed to help dissolve them.
Did Matthew ever tell you what made him sick?
No, he didn't know what was.
Did you know what made him sick?
No.
So when you got to the hospital, what did the doctors tell you?
They said it was his kidneys. They said his kidneys were shutting down, and that they were going to have to do dialysis on him. and this happened. They told us this, and we thought they were going to start dialysis right away, but they didn't start it till the next morning. And then they started dialysis. Well, they went to go and wake him up. He wasn't waking up, and they were all panic stricken, and he still wasn't waking up. And all of a sudden, they checked his heart because they were concerned about his heart because they had, you know, how they have you hooked up to all that stuff. It kept going back and forth, so they checked it, and his heart started acting weird, like the rhythms were off, and they said his potassium level was low. After that, they put him in ICU. They sent me and his dad home. They're like, listen, you need to go home and get some sleep. If anything changes, we'll call you. Just come back in the morning. So I got home, I went to bed. At like 6 o'clock in the morning, I got a phone call from the hospital. They're saying, you need to come back to the hospital. I said, what's wrong? They're like, you just need to come to the hospital. So I get to the hospital.
The hospital called you at 6 a.m.?
The hospital called me. And they're like, you need to come in. I said, okay, what's going on? They're like, we can't tell you that over the phone, you just need to come in. So I raced to the hospital. He was in ICU. A nurse met me in the hallway and said, we need to put a stent in his heart. They took me to the waiting room. They're like, you need to wait right here. So I didn't hear anything back for a little bit, so I went back in. I said, what the hell's going on? And they're like, well, we can't do the stent now because his heart isn't keeping this, his heart wasn't cooperating to where they could go in and put the temporary thing in. I said, can you please tell me what's going on? And he said, his body's shutting down. And I said, well, how is all this happening? We were just with you Thursday. You told us you just had kidney stones. Now how the hell's all this stuff going on? And then he's like, I'm gonna go get more information. I'll be right back. So I'm sitting there with my son still, trying to call Matt's dad, trying to get a hold of him. It was the worst 24 hours ever. That's all I can really say. I mean, everything just, it was one thing after another. One thing was shutting down after another. They were doing, I had nurses, doctors telling me what they were doing. I said, well, just do whatever the hell you have to do. Just make the, I said, what happened to the stint? They were going to try and do the stint again. That didn't happen.
As Holly recalls the traumatizing events leading up to her fiancé's death, she doesn't shed a single tear. She tells the story as if it was all just a giant inconvenience to her that she had to watch her future husband die. As she finishes her story, the detective interrupts her and asks her if she poisoned Matthew.
Did you give Matthew any type of poison?
No.
Did you give Matthew any type of brake fluid?
Brake fluid? No.
Did you give Matthew any type of antifreeze?
No.
Well, what the hell made Matthew ill?
That's a good question. We were told it was kidney stones.
Okay.
That's what we were told.
Okay.
And then when everything happened and they did the autopsy, that's when they said that it was something else. This is the father of my children, my fiance, the person I was going to spend the rest of my life with. I'm not going to hurt him in any way possible.
Was he insured?
Is he what?
Insured?
Medically or
No.
like life insurance?
Life insurance, 401k.
Under the impression that I was aware of until after he passed away, as far as I knew, the only thing he had at work was his 401k plan. I didn't find out that he had life insurance until at the funeral home when his uncle told us.
A day after Matthew died, Holly cleaned out his bank account. Since Matthew's mother was named beneficiary and in charge of his estate, she pressed charges against Holly. Holly pled guilty to forgery and was placed on probation for a year.
Is it a fact that while you were at the hospital with Matthew, you took his debit card and withdrew some money out of his account?
No. That happened like 4 days after he passed away, and the only reason why I did that was so I could pay the bills.
Isn't it a fact when you left the hospital? Is that it? You left the hospital?
While he was at the hospital.
I'm gonna guess his family told you that bullshit, because that's just...
No, the family.
No, you could check the records. That never happened until after the funeral. Because his mother filed charges against me, claiming that I stole
So it's not
money
bullshit,
that belonged. No, because first of all, that money is our money. That money needed to go towards the bills, and that's where all that money went to. He was the main supporter of our family. He had just deposited his check on Friday. The rent needed to be due on the 5th. All the bills needed to be paid because he hadn't paid anything. Not that everything was just sitting there on the desk. I had to pay all that stuff. Everything was due. That's where every single bit of that money went. All that money. Rent was $800. Gas bill, electric, everything. His whole check went towards bills. It's not like I went on a shopping spree.
Do you remember one time being in a bar in Parma with your sisters singing about a song from the Dixie Chicks? You know who the Dixie Chicks are?
Yeah. We do karaoke all the time.
Earl's Gotta Die. You know that song?
Yeah.
And then laughing about it with the reference about an abusive relationship where the female poisons the man and he dies.
It's a song. Yes. It's a karaoke song.
Would you classify your relationship with Matthew as being abusive?
No. I wouldn't call it being abusive. Joshua was very, very, very colicky. Okay, this was the only time he was ever left alone with Joshua by himself. I went to the grocery store. I remember. Came home. Joshua was screaming. And Matt was so upset and started screaming at me that I left him home alone with Joshua. You know that I can't take him crying. You know that it's hard. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever been around a colicky baby, but it's not easy. He just doesn't stop crying. And he came up the steps.
That was Joshua, right?
Joshua. He came up the steps and he was crying. And Matt came up the steps because he was on the computer and he said, "Take him away from me, so help me God, I'm gonna throw him out the window, I can't stand this." And he's sitting there literally holding him, shaking him, screaming at him, telling him to shut up. This happened in the kitchen, I remember vividly. And I was just in complete shock to see him like that, just yelling at our son like that.
After telling the detectives how Matthew was yelling at his child, the detective brings up the time Holly was investigated by Child Services for an incident with her daughter in their driveway.
Has 696 Kids ever investigated you?
Yes.
You smacked her in the driveway one time?
Yeah, I remember the day exactly. She wanted to take the dog to the park with us because we were going to go to the park. I had to go to the chiropractor and we were going to go to Brooklyn Park afterwards. And she wanted to know if she could take the dog. I said, yeah, you can take the dog, no problem. You and the dog could sit in the car while we're at the chiropractor. Well, then it dawned on me, you're not allowed to take dogs to Brooklyn Park. And I told her, I said, we're going to Brooklyn Park, you can't take the dog, I'm sorry. You're not allowed dogs there. And she got all nasty with me. I said, go put the dog on the leash, we're leaving. I have to do that.
You argued about the dog?
We argued about it. She got out, she put the dog on the leash, she's like, I'm staying here. And she was sitting there just running her mouth, and I got out of the car, I grabbed her arm, I said, let's go, we're leaving. No, I'm not going to. And I smacked her in the mouth. Very simple. She was talking back to me. I'm not going to have my daughter talk to me that way. And one of the neighbors, I don't know who, but apparently that's abuse when you're disciplining your children. So I got called on.
Have you ever told anyone that you put something in Matthew's drinks, or when you wanted to stop putting something in his drinks, his kidneys started to fail?
Excuse me, no. No. I never put anything in his drink, so I would never say I did.
Is it the fact that you poisoned Matthew?
No, it's not a fact, because I didn't do it. I didn't do that.
Do you care to add anything further to your statement?
I don't know. There's so many things that I don't know that if you guys know any. I've been totally in the dark with this whole situation, like as far as his family. I don't know what you guys know. I mean, did you guys? I don't know. All I know is what my PO told me, as far as everything that you guys have found so far. As
Your
far
PO?
As my probation officer for that money situation.
Oh.
She's the one who told me about how they found, I knew about the autopsy report, but anything after that.
The PO told you about this?
Well, about how I'm like the #1 suspect, and They came in and did a whole bunch of handprints on me because, I don't know, some more checks were being written or something under Matthew's account, and I mean...
Well, how many checks did you write on his account?
I only wrote one, but this was after the fact. No, nothing. I didn't do anything after that, no. Anything, and his mom took over everything, so if anything happened, that was all on his mom. She took everything. I mean, this is a man who I loved. He's the father of my children. Everything just crashed in front of me. Everything. I mean, dreams, our goals, everything. My whole life has completely been changed upside down. And I know nothing. And his family just despises me and does nothing but speak evil. And they have never helped or anything, even when he was alive. They're just... Matt was like the black sheep of the family. His brother was like the golden child. So, I mean, anything that his family says about me, I don't know. I can only imagine. She tried taking my van away. She tried taking everything away from us. Anything that had anything to do with Matt, she tried taking away from me and our kids. It's very disturbing. I mean, it was horrible.
In the end, the case would go to trial. Prosecution argued that Holly was slowly putting the antifreeze into Matthew's iced tea that he took to work every day. One of Holly's ex-boyfriends would take the stand, and he would tell the jury that after a night of drinking, she told him that she had put something into Matthew's drinks. Another witness would say they saw antifreeze on the kitchen counter, and a third witness claimed Holly commented that she could easily get rid of Matthew. It would take the jury 3 days to reach a guilty verdict. Holly was sentenced to life in prison, with the possibility of parole after 34 years. What are your thoughts on this case? Holly's family claims she is innocent, while Matthew's family believes she is guilty. What do you think? Please share your thoughts in the comments below.